Well, it's Wednesday, and you guys know what that means. As you know, AEW made their way to Calgary, which is fitting because, as you know, we are now at the finals of the Owen Hart Foundation tournament. So the real question does tell us who will walk out as the winners for this year's tournament in both the men's and the women's. So that's going to be a very, very curious thing to happen. We even also have, of course, a number one contendership for the international title. So that's something we also going to be discussing. But however, I guess many of you saw what happened at the end of AEW, and it was quite shocking. But however, we will do a bit of a small discussion talking about that just a little bit. But however, as you know, I decided just for the heck of it, let's just keep this episode, of course, with just one review. But we are going to cap up this episode with some news updates to give you guys updates what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, including developments that are happening in the world of pro wrestling as we speak. So, let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Hey everyone, welcome to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that's pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also, of course, do more news updates. If I'm unable to put certain information on this episode, then I can put it on a separate video or on the next episode. We also do some news updates alerts to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be addressed ASAP. We also do, of course, the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool things as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us. So click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content. But, however, if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions are set aside. I believe it's time to rock and roll. So, let's do our only review for today, and that is, of course, AEW Dynamite. Alright, AEW Dynamite. As I said before, we are in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, or as you people know it as Hart Country. That's right, this is the home of the legendary Hart family, beginning with Stu Hart and his sons, Brett, Owen, and a few others. So this is a very fitting conclusion for the Owen Hart Foundation tournament. So as you know, this is a very fantastic thing. So this is the third year they do this. So we're gonna see what's gonna happen. Now, before we begin with anything else, Will Ospreay, as you know, made his way to the ring. He talked about what happened this past last week on Dynamite when it came to what MJF did to Daniel Garcia. So he felt disgusted what Garcia did, and then of course he kind of mentioned things about what MJF said, you know, all this and that, you know, that he's a hack and all this. But basically, Will Ospreay kind of tried to correct them, in some capacity in his own way. But, however, he did call them out. MJF wasn't even there, so he refuses to oblige by, of course, Will Ospreay's, you know, demands. However, he did stated that he wants to challenge him for the AEW International Championship. So that match will take place in Dynamite. But however, what does that mean for our number one contendership for that belt? Well, we'll discuss that just a little bit. Now, let's begin with, of course, the finals of the Men's Owen Hart Foundation tournament. As you know, Jeff Jarrett has been assigned as special enforcer out of request from Tony Khan and, of course, Christopher Daniels. As you know, Jeff Jarrett does have a long-standing history with Owen Hart. If you guys remember, he was Owen Hart's last opponent until his untimely passing. So I thought it would be fitting. However, the people involved in this match we have, of course, is Bryan Danielson and Hangman Adam Page. But of course, that weasel Nigel McGuinness, who for some odd reason was there, he did not want to see Bryan Danielson win. But however, of course, the match was at beginning was clean as possible until the referee was knocked out. And then, of course, Hangman tried to use the rope as a way to ensure that he wins. But however, Jeff Jarrett did his job, stepped up. And of course, he did have a referee shirt just ready and to go. And they kept this match clean as possible until, of course, when Hangman thought he had this match won by submission, somehow Bryan Danielson overturned it. And if you guys can see the video, his shoulders were lying on the ground and it was over right from there. And of course, the award was presented to him by Dr. Martha Hart, Owen Hart's widow, along with Jeff Jarrett. So we will see Bryan Danielson challenge Swerve Strickland at All In. But speaking of Swerve, he made his way to the ring and kind of reiterate what Will Ospreay said to him the last time. As you know, he did stated that, of course, the AEW World Title is for the ones who bet best in the world, and he kind of felt, I'm that guy. And then, of course, he decided, as you know, for a while, ever since Tony Khan was attacked by the Elite, Swerve Strickland actually said that he will be stepping up as the leader for Team AEW and Blood and Guts. So basically, that's what it is. So this is something that's going to be interesting. But however, he even called out our current AEW Continental Champion, or should I say a member of the Elite, Kazuchika Okada. So this is going to be interesting. I don't know what Swerve was thinking, but if he knows what he's doing, he's going to get himself in a bigger problem with the Elite. So we'll see what that goes on. Now, speaking of the Elite, as you know, the Acclaim made a very interesting dynamic. Don't forget, they won an eliminator match for a shot of the AEW tag team titles, so they will do that. But as always, the Acclaim being the Acclaim, they decided to release a music video calling out the Bucks. So, as probably think, maybe they got the message straight through. So, we'll see what happens until then. Now, we did have a bit of a Calgary Stampede match. Basically, think of it as a street fight in Calgary. We have, of course, Samoa Joe and Chris Jericho. Now, of course, things were going fine from the very beginning. But, of course, you wouldn't expect that, of course, Jericho will always have a plan. As you know, he already wiped out Hook and Shibata. That only leaves Samoa Joe. But, of course, this match ended when Joe was put through a pallet that was attached to, of course, to a forklift, and Jericho drove the forklift right through a wall, putting him unconscious. And then, of course, Joe was taken into an ambulance, and then Jericho, with that grin on his face, told him goodbye. But you know for a fact, somewhere, Joe, Hook, and Shibata will return to get retribution. The only question is, when? Now, our next match is a four-way match for a number one contendership for the AEW International title. Now, as you may or may remember, the competitors involved in this, as you all know, we have Kyle Fletcher, Tomohiro Ishii, Claudio Castagnoli, and Pac. Now, We have one person who actually in the past did have, of course, had held this title before, but it had a different name. That was Pac, as you know. So it's interesting that these men would want to have a conversation of this match. I mean, they're all strong wrestlers, but however, in the end, it was Pac who, in fact, was the one who won this match by applying the brutalizer onto Kyle Fletcher. So Fletcher was out. But however, Don Callis was not happy. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if somehow Don Callis expels Kyle Fletcher for his weakness. Now, Pac actually did a promo, and now he's happy with the fact, as you know, last year he did not have his opportunity to wrestle in Wembley Stadium. He was out on injury, but now nothing is stopping him to fulfill that dream going to Wembley Stadium. So we will see what happened. Now, while Renee Paquette was making her way to have a little talk with Bryan Danielson, Hangman Page just bumps into her without a care in the world, went into the Elite's office, and Okada, being the little, pardon my language, little bitch that he is, he in fact tried not to let him go in, but the Bucks decided to hear what he had to say, and he told them, I will do it. Now, I think many of you guys know what that means. As you know, Hangman has been looking for a measure of revenge towards Swerve Strickland. So in a way, is this: if he's unable to win the AEW World Title, then he will do whatever it takes to murder Swerve Strickland for what he has caused them in the past. So that's going to be interesting, and I'm sure the Elite are happy with it. Now, as you know, Mercedes Moné decided to have a little celebration. As you know, she won the New Japan Strong Women's title. But of course, you know, fans booed her all the time, and you know, that sets it up. But of course, someone decided to crash the party, and that, of course, is none other than Dr. Britt Baker, making her way there. And of course, Mercedes made the choice to skedaddle, knowing I don't want nothing to do with this person. So that's exactly what happened. Now, something has happened on the outside of the venue. We see Brandon Cutler all beat up with makeup on his face, and it was none other than Darby Allin, who just made his return. Last time we saw him, he was hanging upside down when, of course, the Elite actually super kicked him. But of course, this was a straight up message from Darby Allin to Jungle Boy, or should I say Jack Perry. As you all know, last time those two tangled, because Darby Allin set his ass on fire. So that, I'm sure, is going to be very epic to see again. But we'll see what happens. But the real question is, what does the Elite have to make? Because their own stooge has been beaten up. So we'll see. Now, our main event is, of course, the Owen Hart Foundation finals with the women's. We have Willow Nightingale and Mariah May. Now, remember, last year, Willow Nightingale won last year's Owen Hart Foundation tournament, but this time is Mariah May. Now, many people, I'm sure many of you, had your hopes that it would be Mariah May. Well, I have to say it was a pretty good match, but I had that distinct feeling that Willow was going to get screwed, and of course I was right. That bag of weasels of Stokely Hathaway and former BFF, now the biatch, Chris Statlander, showed up, causing her in the match, but it did not do that much an effect. But it was Mariah May that was able to roll up Willow Nightingale to pick up the win. So she has now won the tournament. But the most shocking thing that happened was something I think some fans might have talked about this in the past when this storyline between Mariah May and Toni Storm happened. Now, I'm not getting to the details what happened in the thing you guys saw, but however, let's do a little discussion on this part. When Mariah May first made to AEW and said that she's a big, long-time Toni Storm fan, there were those that were questioning, could Mariah May betray Toni Storm? You know, and it was a possibility. Now that she is, okay, she's going to Wembley Stadium to face Toni Storm to get her moment. So there was that possibility it could be that case. And and I think it was a fantastic storytelling. So we will see that. But the obvious question is now we're gonna ask, what does Mina Shirakawa have to say about this? Because I saw on her X account she was deeply shocked. She was like, no, no, no. You know, she cannot believe what just happened. So the real question is, what is Mina gonna do about it exactly? Now, we do know Mina is not going to be participating in this year's G1 Climax because there were rumors and circulating that, of course, there's the possibility she would spend the entire month of August while the tournament happens here in the States, maybe touring with AEW. That is the possibility. So we could see a different type of storyline added to it. Well, something's added to the story. I think Mina would probably ask herself, did she use Tony Storm to get what she wants? And also the obvious question is, did Mariah May did the same thing to the Mina Shirakawa? I mean, it is a possibility. I mean, we did see something similar with Will Ospreay. If you guys remember, it was when Will Ospreay turned his back on Okada to form United Empire. He did state it that that he used Okada for his own gain. So that is a possibility we could see. Not the same, but it's something similar to it. So we will see what happens. I'm sure, you know, Tony will probably has questions she wants to know, and I think everybody wants to know, but we'll see what happens either on Rampage, on Collision, or possibly next week. So we'll just stay tuned for that. But as of right now, we'll end things right now with this particular review and move on to our last and final thing, news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news update. So let's begin with, of course, updates for the upcoming events from the promotions themselves. GCW, as you know, later on this, by the end, it was announced for their Blood Sport event on July 28th in Brooklyn. They just added another name into the event, and he is current AEW Ring of Honor talent Josh Woods. So I think that's a good fitting. So we will see that. So I think many people can put themselves at ease because we saw WWE talent make their way to Bloodsport, and now we're seeing someone representing that. So we can ease on that. Now GCW did mention that they will be returning to two cities back to back on this around the same time. The first one will be in Philadelphia on September 20th, and then the following day on the 21st of September, Hartford, Connecticut. So we don't know the name of the shows or who's going to participate, but if any updates on that, I will be, of course, will be spreading it soon as possible. Now, promotion Kitsune Women's Wrestling, as you know, for their upcoming events, they've been dealing with some setbacks due to some talent unable to participate. However, this event, we're cutting close to their upcoming event in LA, Shugo, or Sugo, whatever it's called. Hopefully you got it. So anyway, it was told that Marika Kobashi, who was set to be in this event, had to be pulled out for some other obligations. But of course, the promoter did apologize about this. I mean, he's been dying to get Marika Kobashi in there. For those who know this, Marika can speak English. That's the main reason why she wants to come. But however, there was a replacement, as they said. The replacement is Maya World, and she'll be facing, of course, the opponent that Marika Kobashi requested, J-Rod. No relations. So anyway, so basically that. However, because this was announced, Maya World actually will be participating in the following month for the Yabai event on the 18th of August. So basically, the promoter must have killed two birds with one stone. You know, a smart clever move for him. Now, as you know from the last episode on the last news updates, I actually put out DDP Deadlock Pro Wrestling announced their new show on August 18th as well, called High Noon. Well, they just announced a match for this one. The DPW World Title will be defended. Calvin Techman defends his belt against Trevor Lee, formerly known as Going to the Moon. That's right. Trevor Lee will be making his there, or should I say, Cameron Grimes. So he will be over there as well. So I'm sure many of you guys who are fans of Cameron Grimes, now known as Trevor Lee, you don't want to miss it. So mark that to your calendars if you're big fans. So yeah, so I think that's pretty much it with updates with the promotions. Now let's talk about certain developments. Now, as you know, recently there has been talk and discussions between AEW / Ring of Honor with Tony Khan and of course tag team MXM, consisting of Mansoor and Mason Madden. Well, it's now been told that they are now they signed deals with Ring of Honor and AEW. So very interesting developments coming in. So I can't wait to see what they're gonna do. We did see a video vignette from them on Ring of Honor, so we'll see what happens. Now, if you guys remember recently, I did talk about HANAKO. As you know, she will be doing an American tour here throughout the month of August. As I mentioned before, the month of August will be, of course, the 5-star Grand Prix tournament, and she's not involved in that. However, to kick off her tour, it will happen on August 13th at the New Japan Academy show. So this is a good development. This is her excursion for that. So if you guys don't know about this one, the New Japan Academy is where they train wrestlers, to be better at their skills and that. We already have that with Viva Van and a few others. But yeah, so you should check it out. Now, finally, our last update for developments here. Tony Khan has tweeted this. Since, of course, Tomohiro Ishii will not be participating in this year's G1 Climax, it's been decided that he will be staying for the remainder of the summer in the US. And so we will be seeing him more on AEW. And I think this is a great thing, for him to do, since he's not in this year's G1. I'm not saying it's good that he's not in it. I'm saying it's good that he will be utilized in some capacity. And I think I don't know if I have any Tomohiro Ishii fans on this channel, but you guys will probably be happy. And of course, we'll see him kicking it with Orange Cassidy. I wouldn't be surprised if he joins the conglomerate. So that will be interesting. So I think that's pretty much it what we have for all of you. So let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, as you know, we have Ring of Honor and of course TNA. So we will be making those as a top priority. Now, of course, I will be following more on the Stephanie Vakir. As you know, I mentioned she's been signed with WWE. If there's anything new information about that, I will put that out ASAP. Let's see. But we'll see what happens. So until then, I'll see you guys on the next episode. So I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.